Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hospitality Room presented by Mascot Media. Blair Cartwright, Bobby Swofford with you on a. I don't even know what day it is anymore, Bobby. How are you today, though?
Good. I actually was talking to somebody earlier. You're off on Wednesdays, right? I'm glad I got you. And he's like, Yeah, I'm off on Wednesdays, but today's Thursday. So here
Ah,
we are.
yeah, unbelievable, man. This week's just flown by. Moved the son into off to college, 6 hours away, which is a good
Man.
thing for him and a bad thing for us, but it's probably ultimately a good thing for him to have a little
Yeah.
buffer. Do you recall when you went off to college? What was that day like for you?
It was a little terrifying. So, because I played football at UCA, so I moved in early, so I didn't have all the students that were there, and so I
Hmm.
had help moving all my stuff in. But like when the parents leave and you have a team meeting that first night and you don't know a soul, so I obviously I played high school football in Oklahoma, albeit
Hmm.
just across the river. You come to a school in Arkansas, I didn't know anybody, not a soul. I met some people on my visit, of course, but I mean I didn't know anybody, and this is before cell phones. It's not like you're staying in constant contact with people. It was a little intimidating to be quite honest, and for somebody who was always the big guy on campus, obviously I went to a small high school. It was well, it was different. It's certainly a different experience.
Yes, it's an exciting and nerve wracking day,
Yeah,
and your parents drive you up the wall, and it was interesting to be on the other side of that equation, because my other two have just gone down the road to Fayetteville, so
right.
6 hours away, a little different. So that
Well,
was
it's funny too
interesting.
because so now here we are in 2024. Conway to my hometown of Roland, America, it's like an hour and 50 minutes. But back
Oh, it's
then,
not bad.
Interstate 40 was under construction almost the entire way, and that was
Ooh,
easily a 3.5 hour trip, no
oh,
question.
yeah.
And it almost felt like it was a daunting task to attempt to go home, so you didn't do it very often. Obviously, it's right in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of football season anyway, so you didn't have a lot of free weekends. But so it's not like it's now like if I was logging in as a freshman, like I could just jump in the car and go see the parents and come back in the same day if I wanted to. Couldn't do it
Mm-hmm.
back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's good. It's good and bad to be. I don't know. It's good to have that buffer zone, though. Don't you
Hmm.
think?
Yeah, I think 2.5 to 4 hours is probably good. 6 hours is a long way.
Yes, it is. It was 5 for me when I went off to school. So it
Yeah,
was. But I mean, that's part of the. To me, that's one thing. We go down rabbit holes here, and we thank you for joining us today.
yeah,
But that's one of the things that I think is missing now with colleges like the U of A, Arkansas,
yeah.
at Fayetteville, is you can't live on campus anymore, and that was such a
That's
part
right.
of it was living in the dorm and meeting people and
Hmm.
being away and growing up on your own and eh, those days.
I don't know that I would have survived as a freshman if I didn't live on campus and in the dorm.
Hmm.
I mean, those guys in the hall. I mean, those become your lifelong buddies. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, of course you got the teammates that you had, but like to this day, the people that lived on the floor. I mean, we talked. I still probably talk to them more than I talk to anybody.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And how long were you in the dorm? Your entire career at UCA?
No, so the first year, so my first 2 semesters, I was in the dorm, and then
Hmm.
the second year, I was in an on-campus apartment.
Okay.
So it was still on-campus living, but so I had three roommates in an apartment. And that didn't last very long because you had four guys and then their girlfriends, and you got eight people in a two-bedroom house or apartment. So that didn't last very long. So after my third semester, I ended up moving off campus.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I know in Fayetteville now you can only live on campus your freshman year. I
Hmm.
lived in a dorm my entire time when I was at state, all 12 years it
Honestly,
seemed
I didn't
like.
mind the dorm so much. I had a bad circumstance when I was a freshman, but so I had a room to myself for the last, so half of the first. So my roommate
Hmm.
died.
Oh
No, you do
gosh.
not. No, you do not get straight A's. By the way, that movie is incorrect.
Yeah.
Um, but so he died in a car accident. Tim Mathis was his name from Arkadelphia,
Oh
way back
man.
when. So the rest of that semester and all of the second semester, I had a dorm room to myself. And if life was like that, I would have stayed in the dorm all 4 years. There's no question because that was
Hmm.
actually not a bad way to live.
Yeah. No, we had single rooms in the dorm. I don't know, my last however many years it was before I finally got out. So
Mhm.
no, that was good. But it was amazing to me because we didn't have all these luxuries now. We
Yeah.
moved him in yesterday. They have a fitness room that rivals Gold's
Mhm.
Gym in the dorm, cafeteria in the dorm. I mean, it's set up. He doesn't even need to ever leave his dorm unless he's going to a class. I mean, it's amazing
Yeah.
the amenities now
You
as
know, I'm
opposed to
paying
when we
for
were in school.
I'm paying for a few of those amenities now. I filled
Yeah.
out my enrollment and paid my first installment of tuition for this semester, and there's some fees on there. It's like, man, I don't get to use that. I'm an online student, and I'm sitting here paying for student services and the hyper building.
Gosh, you may have to road trip to Conway and take advantage of that.
No kidding. I mean, grant I could be there almost faster than I get to work some days.
Oh
I don't
my
live halfway in
gosh.
between. I guess I probably haven't said it here in the hospitality room. I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's been 19 years since I went to class, but we're gonna try it again.
Yeah, that's good. And we are all about further education here in the
That's right.
hospitality
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
So a master's of sports management is what I'm going for, and I think that may
Awesome.
help. I think that may help things here in the hospitality room, of course, but also may
Oh,
help things
yes.
in the office around
Professionally.
me. Yes,
Yes.
in this room that I'm in.
Personal and professional growth at the
Correct.
same time.
We're just trying to
What?
make the listeners and viewers of the hospitality room more intelligent. That's really all we're
Yes.
doing.
Oh, that's yes. We're here to educate all. So
That's right.
to pass along our knowledge from years of broadcasting, because God knows there
Yeah.
was a lot of knowledge obtained in those years.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get right to our headline, shall we? The Olympics are over. Did you watch any of the closing ceremonies?
No, I did not. Uh, I watched the gold medal match with women's soccer,
Hmm.
and that was it.
Oh
That was the last
wow.
part I saw.
Well,
I watched the highlight mashup of the archery finals against
hmm
the American. I think it was one of the Koreans, but the guy who's won like 4 or 5 straight gold medals, and it went to death, which is like one arrow each,
yeah,
and of course the 4-time now 5-time gold medalist hit the bullseye, hit the 10, and the American only hit the 9. But
yeah.
it was kind of intense, as far as archery is concerned. But I didn't watch anything else.
Okay. I wish I had seen that. I did watch. We did watch the gold medal team table tennis match,
Oh,
and that was you hold the ball, you rub it, and then then you do the funny gyrate. I mean, that was pretty amazing. Um, I did happen to catch the closing ceremonies. Of course, you already knew what was going to happen because
hmm,
it was all over the internet, and it just so happened to be on. And there wasn't anything else on. I'm sorry, I didn't think the Tom Cruise. I mean, it was a nice stunt, but it wasn't. I mean, it was Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl, basically.
hmm. Just jump
So
off something and yeah,
yeah,
slowly descends. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it'd been one thing if he'd like whoever that dummy or not dummy, the what's the right word, the double for
Yeah.
Chad Morris when allegedly he
Oh yeah.
rappelled down. I mean, that guy moved faster than Tom Cruise did down
Hmm.
to. Now it was kind of cool. He posed for photos with people and stuff, but it was
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. He was
Uh,
all over that women's gold medal match too. He was on
oh yeah.
camera almost as much as the players were. Yeah. Just
Wow.
the middle suite. Yeah.
Well, what else has he got to do? I'm
Yep.
assuming he's not wasn't shooting a movie, but interesting. I've watched over the last week. I think I've watched 3 of the Mission Impossible movies because I had never seen them,
Okay.
and then then I saw him rappel down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tom's looking a little old. But then,
Have you
he's
seen
older
Top
than
Gun?
me. One of the few people.
Have you seen the new Top Gun movie?
I have not. It's on.
Oh, you got to watch.
It's in my list on Paramount Plus to
Hmm.
watch. I've got to get through all the Mission Impossibles first.
You should watch it. It's very good.
Okay.
I've probably rewatched it a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably silly, but like so I've been on a plane a bunch this summer, and I've
Hmm.
watched it twice on a plane,
Oh
which is
wow.
probably not smart, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Do I need to go back and watch the original?
No, not really. I mean,
No.
you probably remember enough from the original.
Yeah.
You know,
Shot. Yeah.
the
Sadly.
guy dies,
Yeah.
and he does the flyby. That's pretty much all you need to remember.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll put that on my list. Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, I don't know
Moving
why.
up to the top of the list. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's so hard to find an action adventure movie anymore.
Hmm.
So, so there we go. And see, we go down rabbit holes talking about the Olympics. Well, since you didn't see it, they had, they did the handoff. They gave him the flag. He did the motorcycle. They did the blah blah blah. Faked the Hollywood sign. Made the Olympic rings out of the O's.
Hmm.
And then they went live to the beach, and you had the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Billy English, and then Snoop Dogg, and then Dr. Dre, and it was like, I don't know, this 40-minute deal, and it's like, it was just weird, and it was like, what are they doing in Paris? Are they watching this on a monitor like we did Live Aid so many years ago? Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't. It was just weird. I've never seen the upcoming host city so involved in a closing ceremony.
I was about to ask why were there so many Americans involved in this, but that's a good point. I'd forgotten that we're hosting it next time around.
Yes,
So
in L.A.
okay,
So
yeah.
provided it doesn't, fall off into the
Well, I mean, the
ocean.
Super Bowl hit a home run when they brought in Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg when
Yeah,
they were in LA. So I guess the Olympics were trying to piggyback off of that success.
yeah, it was just weird. It was like they were on the beach and there were maybe 200 people around them, and it was just they flew over the L.A. Coliseum real quick. But to me, when you say Olympics in L.A., I think of the Coliseum,
Right.
and it was
That
like the
was
Coliseum was an afterthought. So
40 years ago when the Coliseum hosted it. Was it 84, 88?
84, yeah.
Yes, I've been 40 years ago.
Well, and it's
Date yourself
host,
there, buddy.
yeah, and it's hosted what, about 6 or 7 Olympiads. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Because when
but
I think of the Olympics in the United States, I think of Atlanta and Michael Johnson
oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that's true.
in '96.
Yeah, I mean, it's either L.A. or Atlanta, really, when it comes to the summer games. Because I don't know if anybody else has hosted it. Have they in America? Yeah. So, so the Olympics are over. So I don't know
Yeah.
what we do with ourselves now.
Yeah. We move on.
Which,
We care about baseball for about 4 minutes.
yeah, I was going to say now, lost in the shuffle. The Olympics had tremendous ratings. Baseball's trying to. I don't know. Baseball gets lost because now everybody goes from the Olympics to football.
Hmm.
So, I mean, can baseball do anything? Judge just had his 300th home run career wise, fastest
Right.
to it. But it's like, I don't know. Is baseball just, I don't know.
Yeah. So baseball has a problem, and a lot of it is their own doing because of the TV restrictions and the blackouts in the local markets and et cetera, et cetera. But also, it's a problem because nobody has cable anymore, so like nobody's
Hmm.
watching the local game. But more than anything, that they don't promote their players enough. Like, did you know Bobby Witt is hitting 347?
Really?
He's like 20 points higher than
Wow.
anybody else in baseball, and nobody talks about it. I didn't even know it until a coworker here came in the office and said, "Have you seen Bobby Witt's numbers?" And I
Hmm.
clicked on it. I was like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." Got 20 something home runs. He's top five in RBIs. Obviously leading the league in batting average. Nobody talks about him because he plays for the Royals.
Yeah. Well,
So
didn't he
like
hit
you
like 400 something in July, which was just
had to, yeah,
insane? Like
yeah.
427 or just, yeah. It's,
I mean, in this, the shortstop for the Reds is running away with stolen bases.
hmm,
De La
De La
Cruz.
Cruz. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's one of those deals where I think if you don't play for the Yankees, the Dodgers is one of my headphones died. Sorry. If you don't play for one of those big market teams, like nobody talks about you.
Yeah. And well, it was perfect case in point was the All Star game. The only
Hmm.
reason to tune in was to see Skeens pitch against Judge, which almost didn't happen. But you
Right.
almost wonder if interleague play, which was cool at first, is part of the problem now. But I also think you're onto something with the TV thing because it's not easy to watch. They've signed all these streaming deals. You don't know where the games are.
Hmm. And you used to be able to guarantee yourself lock in every night at 9 o'clock Central Time. Go to ESPN and see every game, every highlight. Baseball
Mm,
Tonight.
Yeah.
And since ESPN killed that show because baseball was losing interest nationally and the ratings were going down, I think that that's not the demise of it, but the downfall of baseball has certainly kind of picked up a little more steam because like people, the casual fan would tune in for that 30 minutes or an hour and watch
Hmm.
that show
Oh yeah.
rather than the entire game. And now you don't get that anymore because the MLB network is on very few TV packages. You got to buy for that extra tier, and more people getting away from the standard. I've got cable or I've got
Hmm.
satellite. People are getting away from that. So until the NFL Network or MLB has like an a la carte channel, which I think cable services should provide an a la carte option, X
Hmm.
number of dollars per channel. Uh, I don't know how to fix it to be quite honest. I mean, because I'm sure the MLB Network has to have highlight shows. I couldn't tell you what they are because I haven't had the MLB Network in 5 years, if not more.
Yeah, they have. Well, ESPN kind of ruined everything by going to all this debate format because, like you said,
Yeah,
Baseball Tonight was the best sports highlight show on anywhere because
agreed.
you saw highlights. And ESPN, in their great wisdom, decided, and we saw this with like college football final.
Hmm.
It was the only place. I mean, and that's what made SportsCenter great in the beginning too. Was you saw highlights. Well, they decided they wanted to get into debate, and so highlights have now just become passe. And I guess you have to go to social media to find them. But yeah, I didn't think about that. Baseball Tonight's not even on anymore,
Hmm.
and that was like the play. I mean, even if you weren't big into baseball, you would still watch because you wanted to see the great plays.
Yeah, every time. I mean, I watched it every night. I mean, granted, I was a baseball kid growing up. I loved baseball. Just, like a lot of other people, I've kind of lost interest in it, as the years go by. And I still think they play too many games. And granted, I went to two games this year. I went to Fenway, I
Hmm.
went to Wrigley, but I'm not tuning in every day. I'm not checking the standings every morning to see what everybody else did. It's just, I just kind of see it in passing.
Yeah, it hasn't translated well or held up well on TV. It's still fun when you're
Hmm.
there, but it's kind of like hockey in a sense. TV doesn't do it justice, and then the game, of course, slowed down. But
Yeah.
um,
It needs drastically a salary cap. I mean, the
yes,
gap. I mean, it's like for the Dodgers to go out and spend, $200 in luxury taxes just because they're going to go sign every big name player, big name free agent. It's kind of rubbed the allure off of it a little bit because like, okay, the Dodgers are going to be there in the end, and Dave Roberts is probably going to overmanage things and screw it up. But like, you can't compete with them on a regular basis.
true. No, true. I totally agree. Speaking of which, Mike Trout is out again, at one time labeled the best player in baseball, yet has never won a playoff game, which is
Mhm.
or amazing. He's out again. There's a debate whether or not he's a Hall of Famer, but I mean, perfect example. No, when was the last time anyone saw Trout? Because he's never
Yeah,
made it to the playoffs.
and he's
It,
hurt all the time.
yeah, it's almost a King Griffey Jr. situation.
Yeah, it really is. When he was with the Reds, I mean, it's like it's completely falling apart. I'm going to look it up. I mean, you look at Mike Trout's career numbers.
Oh,
Like the
they're
production is certainly there, but
yes,
the games played is not. I
no,
mean, he is. You can't rely on money. He put a money on his team for a couple of years. Uh, he still didn't make the playoffs. So
yeah,
going back to 2020, this is
hmm,
his number of games played. And granted, 2020 is different because of the COVID year.
yeah,
The total number of games played 53, 36 in 2021, 119 in 2022, which means he still missed 43 games,
hmm,
82 last season, only played 29 games this year.
wow. So he's only played 100 games in the last 5 seasons. Once.
Honestly, you can go back all the way to 2019 was a
Uh huh.
everyday play.
Wow, that's sad.
I get
But then,
119 games is still a bunch, but when you're missing 40 games, you're missing 20. You're in it.
yeah, that's it's tough. I mean, his legacy is going to be an interesting one. Some say he did enough during the 90s to justify the Hall of Fame, and probably so.
Yeah,
But he may not be a
299
first
career
ballot
average.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, 299 career average, which is, if it's above 300, maybe give him the nod. He's got 378 home runs, still not to 1,000 RBIs.
Mm,
Obviously, he's a big time defensive player. I don't know that he ever won a Gold Glove, but he was always in the conversation. Um, so very very good player. Is he a Hall of Fame? If you ask me, I say no right now.
yeah. No. Yeah. It would be it would be interesting to see the balloting on that. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah, I don't know. It's sad. But then
Yeah,
again,
it
it's
is.
like, okay, he's the best player in baseball no one ever saw. Who is the best player now?
I mean, it's got to be Judge. I mean, he's
Yeah,
near the, or at the top of every category offensively.
true. Okay.
So I mean, for a guy who has as much power as he does, his average is usually pretty high up there.
It is pretty crazy. Speaking of baseball, this was a few weeks ago. James McCann, the former Razorback, beamed in the face in an at bat, didn't leave the game, played with
Catchers
cotton
are
in his
great.
nose. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they interviewed him after the game, his eyes swollen. He's catching with one eye.
yeah. Catchers are the closest thing to hockey players will ever see. This is a completely different mindset to get back there behind the plate and the way they act and behave.
I mean, I can't imagine playing that position, catching fastballs after you've been hit in the face with one.
Yeah.
But McCann is one of my all-time favorite Razorbacks. He and Keuchel were tough as nails. They did not lead verbally. They were not verbal leaders. They led by example. And they
Hmm.
were on that team that beat Virginia. Just it was unbelievable. Um, one final baseball note. Have you watched the Charlie Hustle Pete Rose documentary on Max,
No,
HBO, or whatever
I've
it's
seen the
called?
trailer for it. Yeah, I've seen the trailer for it. It's
You
certainly
got
going
to
to be
watch it.
on the must watch. Yeah.
Oh, it is unreal. It it brings for me it brought back a lot of memories. I remember watching that team. Dave Concepcion was my guy. I don't know why. He was the one I gravitated to. Rose has not done himself any favors, needless to say. But and then on his website, he sells an autographed ball signed by he and Commissioner Rob Manfred. Tell me that makes sense. Does he? Should they put him in?
Wire, Clemens, and Barry. Like, yeah, they cheated, but everybody cheated. And what Pete wrote, people can make an argument that okay, you gambled on the game, but he played. You can't ever say it's clear that, and he was managing at the time anyways. It doesn't really matter. And just like the whole 19, but 18 or 15.
You're kind of breaking up, but I think you're saying yes.
Let him
Put
in.
him in.
Let him in.
Yeah, put an asterisk on his plaque, and
Yeah.
note that he was banned from baseball. But
Hmm.
you, and that came when he was a manager, more or less. He always bet on his team to win, which was something I think a lot of us didn't really fully know until this documentary. Because we knew he'd bet on the Reds, but it was always to win. So,
Hmm.
and then it's ironic that, after he leaves, then they win the World Series. So that team was close. No wonder he bet on them to win all the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what he did on the field, you can't.
Argue it.
No, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So no, it's fascinating. Watch. He is a complex person to say the least.
Hmm.
So interesting. All
I
right.
also saw that Hulu is making a documentary on. I guess it's not more a documentary; it's a reenactment
Oh,
of Aaron Hernandez.
ooh,
They made
interesting.
the one about the Clippers, and I guess this
Mm-hmm.
is their next venture. I think it's Hulu slash FX that's doing it.
Ooh,
That's going to be dicey. You're
yeah,
talking about a guy who had serious drug problems, gang affiliations, and murdered people, and
yeah.
that's probably plural, as in people, not just a person. It's going to be interesting to see. I'll watch it just because that stuff intrigues me. But I guarantee there's a lot of NFL people are like gritting their teeth about that one coming out.
Well, it's almost like playmakers all over
Yeah.
again.
Oh, that was such a
Well,
great show.
yeah. Well, as a Patriots fan, do you really want to bring all that back up?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long ago. I mean, everybody's moved past it. Um, I mean, he was such a great talent with him and Gronkowski and two tight end sets were, I mean, they're almost unguardable. I mean, those team that got to the Super Bowl in 2011.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a it's a bad deal.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, your Patriots made a big trade. You traded your best defensive player.
Best player in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you have any hope for this year?
No, but even with him, you don't have a lot of hope, to be quite honest. And
Yeah.
the only thing that puzzled me about the trade at all is why it didn't happen at the draft, where you get that draft pick this year.
Hmm.
Because he is 32-year-old today, oddly enough. He's coming off a significant injury, had torn bicep last year, only played in 4 games, and he needs a new contract and he wants more money. So like it's the perfect time to trade him if you're the Patriots because you know that you're not going to contend this year. You might
Hmm.
as well get some kind of compensation for him. And the Falcons honestly are making a risk at trading for him because he didn't sign a new contract before they traded for him. And so they may
Hmm.
run into the same risk that the Jets have with Hassan Reddick
Yeah.
trading for a player before they get a new contract. And he's already asked for a trade from the Jets. Um, if you're the Patriots, it's probably a good move. You got some young pass rushers. You know, Anthony Jennings really emerged last year as a guy who can set the edge. You got Keon White, who was a second round pick last season as well. Played sparingly, but I think he's got a chance to be a big time edge player. Make the move now, stockpile picks for next year, and start the rebuild. And Atlanta, honestly, probably did the right thing. They got a 36-year-old quarterback. They got
Hmm.
to win now with Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins. So I think it's a good trade. And you do it early enough in the offseason. The Patriots play tonight, so you can get those other guys ready to go in games 2 and 3, and then the Bengals come calling week 1.
Yeah. It's not far off. Have you watched preseason games? I've tried to watch, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to watch from the aspect of, and I get why they don't play the starters a whole lot
Yeah,
because you can get hurt. But it's hard to watch guys you know aren't even going to be on the team in 2 weeks.
yeah. I mean, some of
But
those
it's
guys who played in that
football.
first game. Yeah, football. I watched the first 3 quarters of the Patriots' first preseason game, but
Hmm.
I'm a nerd. No, when they
Yeah.
had a triple header on Sunday on the NFL Network, didn't watch a lot of those.
Hmm.
I can watch the highlights. The second preseason game, which is tonight, and then this weekend, you'll see a lot because the starters may play a quarter, some may even play a half. That's when you'll really start to see teams start to unfold. And then the third preseason game might as well not even happen because guys will pretty much just going through warm ups, and then it's nothing but guys competing for a roster spot at that point.
Yeah. Unless you're a Cowboys fan, then you're wondering why everybody's going to, when are they going to sign anything? Interesting, though, on the drive to and from Cape Girardeau, I was listening to Swagger by Jimmy Johnson. And
Mm-hmm.
man, it's been out a year, but man, he takes some shots at Jerry for meddling in the football operations.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then to see how it's playing out now in Dallas, it's like
Yeah.
totally,
Well,
totally get why it's happening.
everybody knows that Jerry Jones can't keep his nose out of it. It's his team. Everybody makes it well known that it's his team, and that's the reason they haven't won a Super Bowl since the VCR was popular.
Yes, and it's been to the deterrent of everyone. All
Yeah.
right, final words as the shot clock winds down.
It is Cape Girardeau.